Hello, welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and Abigail Moore.
Hello again, everybody. One day I need to come up with a better...
I was just about to say you need to come up with a better catchphrase
Aye.
than hello again.
Everybody.
I've spoken to you more than once, again.
And so, to the news.
The first piece of news is regarding, that's right, you guessed it, EA and Anthem. Anthem! I think this is our Anthem, talking about Anthem.
No, this is your Anthem. I'm fed up of talking about EA and Anthem.
Well, I'm also fed up, but we have to do our duty by the person. See, we would say the people, but there's only like one person listening, so the person. And we have to talk about the hard-hitting subjects of why Anthem is poo-poo. EA has moved some of the Anthem development leads onto Dragon Age 4. Now what this means basically is that there's less development power and resources behind continuing development and adding new content to Anthem. And that it could be argued that they're prioritising the production of Dragon Age 4. Now in the light of this particular piece of news, I have a couple of questions. Which of course nobody will answer because we're not big enough or important enough, but might as well list them for posterity so I can be proved correct. You know, eventually maybe, if anybody listens. And they're as follows. Why would you move your team before the game has been made and released? I understand that there are points where during development you move people away, but you could consider this to be, what is the gaming terminology, crunch time, so because it's very close to release, so why would you do this? Secondly, when is it to be released? Thirdly, when will the promised content be launched? And lastly, what is to be delivered for Anthem upon release?
Well, what I'll say to this is, yeah, that sounds a bit dodgy. Why, when you have said that there are things wrong with this game, that first of all, it was on early release, then it was released, and now they're saying the release date was actually in early access.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they? Yeah. Now you're taking off the lead developers who have been with this project since, I believe, its conception, or at least when it went into production. And so
not went into production or conception because it's they've been changing the staff, but the most recent ones, the past. Apparently they began to make some real good headway a few months before release, or a year before release, so probably something along those lines.
Okay, well, if you're taking the lead developers of it who are here at the moment, when all of these issues have been sort of coming to light with the game,
mm-hmm.
Surely it would be make more sense to keep them on so that they would know what it is that needs to be fixed and probably who in their team would be able to fix it. So the fact that they're taking these developers off this project and putting them onto another project tells me that they've sort of not so much given up with Anthem, but they're kind of like trying to focus on the next big thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that they have come out, BioWare have come out, and they have said that they are still committed 100%, they're still committed to making Anthem work, but it just doesn't sound like it when they do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've blamed EA because EA own BioWare. I don't know who is actually to blame, but because EA own BioWare, I'm willing to say that it was a BioWare command, an EA command, not a BioWare one. You blame the person at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
And well, let's take the questions I've asked one at a time. Why would you move your team before the game has been made and released?
That tells me that they've kind of just given up and they're just going to focus on the next big thing.
Yeah, maybe not given up completely, but they're not willing to invest too many resources to fix the problem. When is it to be released?
I thought it was already released, but...
Yeah, you can't claim this game is in early access, and that's why none of the stuff works properly, and then move development leads from one project to another. Unless you think for some reason they're to blame for it, which they're not, why would you do that?
Indeed.
It doesn't quite add up.
It's weird. It is very weird.
They've delayed a lot of the additions and patches that they were going to be adding, and they were going to be adding additions. They were going to be adding additions and patches that were going to be released for the game. They've delayed a lot of them, and the big content launch, the one massive thing they weren't able to put into the game, they were going to be adding, but they've had to delay that as well, and they don't say what's then going to be delivered after that, even though this is supposed to be like a 10-year long project for them, and I just don't think that they've done this. This doesn't make sense. You can't say people it's on early access and it's doing incredibly well and then pull all the development leads off of it.
Yeah, something's not sitting right there.
No, it's I mean, it's obvious that they're making stuff up. Like, it's still in early access, even though they specifically said that it was full release 22nd of February. Early access was 15th to 21st, or 22nd. So this obviously, they're making stuff up here to cover for their ineptitude. But why pull people off of it when you know what's going to happen to you? Do you have any further thoughts on this other than the case of it just being not right?
It just doesn't sound right.
All I would say to people is that if you've purchased Anthem and you feel like it isn't what you paid for, because technically it's not, and you want your money back, I can advise that you contact the seller you purchased it from and claim false advertising and fraud. That's become quite common to do on Amazon, and they're paying full refunds.
Yeah.
So, because it's not the game you bought. They mentioned that there was going to be certain things in the game which aren't in the game, and it's been delayed. It's not on early access, so they can't use that excuse, because they specifically said early access would be finished on 22nd of February. It's nothing like the E3 reveal trailer, and they didn't mention anything about the stuff that wasn't going to be added. And now they've taken away or delayed a lot of the additions that they were going to make. Apparently there were these sort of like big things they were going to be adding, which were similar to Destiny raids, and but they weren't called that. They were called something else because it's Anthem, and we're different. We're not allowed to be like Destiny, but they have delayed them and delayed them and delayed them, and apparently they're the big end game content. So that's that done. Then what's the point?
Yeah.
So it's
not great.
No. I just if you've got it and you're not happy, just claim fraud and false advertising, because that's what's happened.
Should we move on to another?
Yeah.
Another piece of news which continues with the theme of EA.
It continues with the theme of not doing quite as well as you hoped you would.
Yes.
EA, Bethesda and Activision Blizzard are losing lots of monies in 2019, possibly ranging into the billions. At least they will have by the end of the year if this keeps up. So we'll start with Activision, then we'll move to EA, then finally Bethesda. And we'll talk about why we think each company's in this problem.
Okay.
So we'll start with Activision, and I'll let the lady go first.
Why don't you go first, and I will contribute to what you say.
I would say that a particular problem that EA has is that...
I thought we were starting with Activision.
Activision, sorry. Sorry, my apologies. I was looking at the wrong bit of the piece of paper. So yes, let's start with Activision. So the problem that EA has...
and this isn't just because I've kind of forgotten which games Activision Blizzard have released.
Yeah, and I think that's
recently.
No, that's right. Part of the problem is I think they've only released Black Ops, and that was last year. I mean, they'll have released other smaller titles because they're a big, massive publisher. They're the biggest of the three. But you don't really know what it is they've released because they just don't release that much. They put all their eggs in the basket of making lots of money, basically, from every game. Every game has to make an inordinate amount of money. They made $500 million in the first few weeks of releasing Black Ops 4, and they weren't happy with it.
Yes.
The particular problem for Activision is that they put all their eggs in the one basket, right?
Yes.
So they've put all their eggs in the basket of they have to make a certain amount of money, and if it doesn't, they cut it. That's what they've been doing with all their games that don't meet their ridiculously high standards of making trillions. They cut the game. So they're left with almost no backlog. They've allowed Bungie to leave with Destiny, so that's about $500 million gone. It's like 483 million a year. That's 500 million walked out the door. And they've got really, really bad predatory microtransactions. Really bad predatory microtransactions. Black Ops is really the only game you can look at for this. But do you remember the £28 hammer?
Yes.
Buy a real
You
sledgehammer
can buy
for
a
less
real,
than that.
yeah.
£1 for a red dot sight, which used to be in the game for free. You'd unlock it by leveling up. Nope, now you've got to pay for it. Not the original not in Black Ops 4, but it used to be in previous Call of Duty games, and now they've cut it, and you've got to pay to have a red dot sight. So the combination of losing Bungie, not releasing many games, and being so predatory with the games they've got, I believe Overwatch is one of theirs because of Blizzard, that's starting to taper off a little bit with its people playing it. They're trying to suck too much life out of their own games and convert it into money, like some sort of weird money vampire, and it's not working well for them, and they don't make enough. Essentially, their business model is set up to sell microtransactions, not games.
Yeah.
To sell loot boxes, not games. Apparently, there used to be challenges in which if you played Black Ops 4, you could unlock certain weapons. Now, because those challenges are done with, they've put them in the loot boxes, which you have to pay for. So if you want one of the fancy weapons from previous challenges, you have to pay for it and hope to get it in the loot box.
No.
Or you can maybe hope it comes up in a bundle and buy it.
No.
I mean, I like to compare it to something like Halo 5, which for some reason its loot boxes don't bother me as much. And it's because anything you can get in a loot box, you can buy that loot box with rec points for playing the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you play 2, maybe 3 at a push, mythic Warzone firefights, you can buy a gold pack to get some weapons and some unlocks. I've not seen yet they release these special packs during the year that you can buy, and I think they cycle round. They have them available, a couple of times a year for a few days or a week or so. They don't tell you when they're going to run out, and I don't like that. But you can still buy them with rec points. It's just you need 80,000 or 150,000 of them. You still get that by playing the game.
Yes.
Whereas that's not the case with a lot of the Activision loot boxes. There's nothing in Halo 5 that you have to buy beyond the voice packs. And I can kind of understand that. I think the voice pack should be cheaper. I think £8's too much. But I can kind of understand why you'd have to say, look, we've had to bring these actors in to voice this part. We're going to sell that bit. I don't like it, but I can kind of get it. I just wish it was only for 3 or 4, not 8. I think I could stomach that.
Yeah.
But I've not had to buy anything, and I haven't had any wish to buy anything with real money. You can quite easily keep yourself going on what... If you aim to get to level 151, you will have enough rec points to buy everything you can buy with rec points. I don't ever feel the need to pay for it. It doesn't feel as predatory. Because if you've got that urge, that sort of addiction to opening loot boxes, well, you can play the game to do it. You don't have to spend the money. For me, I don't like the loot box. I want them to take... I don't mind the loot box if you're buying it with rec points. I don't mind that. Because that way, if you get into opening the box, you're just playing the game to do it. But I'm not happy... I don't like the fact you can spend money. But conversely, I haven't ever felt the need to, so I'm not quite as worked up about it. I would just prefer they took the money aspect out. But then you compare that with Activision in Black Ops 4, and it's like, give me all the money you've ever owned and will ever have. And I will give you a hammer that won't even bang in a real nail because it's in the game only.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. For why that's kind of like leading down Activision Blizzard down that path. But with Bethesda... Oh.
We have to do it in order, women, right? I got it wrong and you pointed it out.
But then the next order, if we're going backwards, is Bethesda and then it's EA.
No. I organised them in terms of the biggest offenders.
Oh, right, okay.
And Activision are the worst, even though I don't necessarily dislike them the most.
So EA. Hold on, so I just want to double check something. Battlefield, that's the Star Wars one, right?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of Battlefront 2.
Yes, Battlefield 5 had its own issues, but you're talking about Battlefront 2 as the start of the loot boxes.
Yeah, where that was pretty much on every single news item for about a month or so.
Yeah, well, I think they've been banned in Belgium as a result, and it's heading that way in other countries because of it.
But I think that was kind of like the beginning of their downfall, like where they just were. That's when they started to be seen as pretty much just money grabbing.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. The predatory nature of them really got. I mean, it was Australia that did a full blown study into it and found that they're addictive, and that's part of the problem. So, charging people money. I mean, basically, we're allowing EA to sell heroin to children.
Well, they were. Let's not say that that's what they were doing.
No,
they weren't doing
that. I said basically, not literally. The effective comparison would be that they're selling drugs to minors who can't cope with it because it acts like an addiction when you're selling people these loot boxes.
Yeah.
Any other reasons you can think of for EA struggling?
Well, I don't think Anthem's helped their case at all.
Go on.
Because they've had numerous amount of problems since it was early released and then second early released and yet to be released.
It'll never actually be released.
Just stuck in the limbo of early access.
Yeah, it's stuck in development purgatory, but somehow made its way out slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, they also cost everybody, was it £60 or something like that for the game?
Yeah, £60, $60, and in return you get a game which isn't finished.
How are they able to charge something $60 and then also charge £60? That is ludicrous.
It's
imported.
It's there might be an import tax because of the fact it's coming from another country, but it's also the fact that the pound has collapsed recently.
Yeah. And
they were always selling at a reasonably high price.
Okay,
so in essence, games have become comparatively cheaper, but still as expensive, and they're only comparatively cheaper to America, not to our past, because the worth of the pound has plummeted. They always sold them for more in the UK. We always got done out when it came to games.
Okay.
So I'd agree that EA has some really bad business practices when it comes to releasing its games. It releases quite a few games, so Bethesda and EA don't have the same problem as Activision in that part, but they do have a real problem with loot boxes because their games as a service, FIFA and Madden, have started to plateau. They're not making as much money as they were before.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of their loss of revenue. The fact that they'll lose a lot of money is from the fact that apart from loot boxes are being banned, people are starting to be put off by loot boxes. I don't know anybody that takes part in FIFA Ultimate Team.
I keep forgetting people still play FIFA.
Like Activision, Blizzard, they're not set up to sell games, they're set up to sell loot boxes, whereas in Activision case it's microtransactions, but it's the same thing, they're not set up to sell games. And pardon me, that's my ankle. Anyway, the selling of loot boxes, that started to plateau. People are not buying EA games because they know they'll be released as a disaster. So we've seen Andromeda, now we've seen Anthem. So they've got a massive image problem, EA.
Yes,
they have for a very long time. It's just that the products have not
fully represented.
No, the products have collapsed.
Yeah.
Because in the past, when they were voted the worst company of all time.
When was that?
Since the 2010 sort of era. That's the people who hated EA since then. Since then, the games they've been releasing just haven't been as good. And they've absolutely destroyed public opinion when it comes to the Star Wars games they've released. You know, Battlefront 2 with the loot boxes, the fact that they won't release any single player stories. They've only released this Respawn game because Respawn had basically made it before EA bought them. The Apex Legends stalled some of the fall, but they've refused to put more effort into that, and that's now started to collapse like we spoke about previously, last week I think it was. They're a badly run company, and it's starting to catch up with them. Shall we move on to the finally?
Yes.
Bethesda.
Yes.
Your thoughts on Bethesda?
Fallout 76.
Yes.
That's all I have to say. That's all we need to say. Let us move on.
Fallout 4 has been fun so far. I'm still playing it. But it doesn't have the same feel of competency and fun as Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas did. I think that Fallout was a problem for Bethesda because they allowed Obsidian to make Fallout New Vegas, and it was a massive improvement on Fallout 3. So they were left with Fallout 4. How do we change this? And it feels like they've just made changes for the sake of making changes or to make their own lives easier.
Yeah.
It's not a very good... The changes that are there don't feel good. They feel annoying and tedious. And I think that sort of sums up a lot of Bethesda's games. I mean, Doom, incredible. You know, they've still released some really great games. Rage 2 looks like it'll be a lot of fun. They can still make games. But Fallout 76 has demonstrated that they have the capacity and they are willing to also not make games, but make absolute walking piles of beep. And that's where people are starting to fall away from them because of it.
Yeah.
People allowed Bethesda to release games that were buggy messes that weren't properly finished because they were so much fun to play when they worked. But they've been allowed away with that for so long that they've just put all of those eggs into the basket of 76 and thrown the eggs into a big fire. And people have had enough of it. And that's Bethesda's part. They're still making money off of Elder Scrolls Blades, that phone game. But it's nothing in comparison to what they're losing in other ventures because people are just tired now. Bethesda they still have the ability, unlike I'd say the other two companies, to bring, maybe EA does, but to bring people back on board. But they have to do it soon. And what they've done in the past couple of releases with Elder Scrolls Blades and Fallout 76 is be extremely predatory with microtransactions. A good addition to this conversation is that Bethesda in recent years have allowed other companies to make some of their games. I mentioned Obsidian making Fallout New Vegas, but they also allowed other companies to publish the Elder Scrolls Online, which is doing quite well. They then tried to do the same with Fallout, a sort of online game, because everybody wants to be able to play Elder Scrolls and Fallout games in some sort of multiplayer or co-op. It's just not what they're making. And it hasn't done as well. So I think Bethesda are trying to grab every little penny by doing things that they don't seem to be willing or capable of actually doing, instead of letting other people do it instead. So it's like, I suppose the one thread that you can combine between all three of these companies is they're making decisions that don't benefit their players.
Right.
And I think that's a good link between them all. I foresee potential issues for other companies for multiple reasons, including some of the ones we mentioned before. Microtransactions, loot boxes, unfinished on release, nerfing of things. So things which do work in players' favour being altered in some way, but they don't fix the things which don't work in players' favour. Not being forthcoming with players about things which either won't be included in their games, or nerfing things or changing things and not making it easy for players to find out that that's what's happened. The constant crunch time in developing practices that sees great developers leave the industry, sometimes permanently. Or in the specific case of Take-Two, a never-ending beta to try and hide the fact that something isn't working properly. So when Red Dead Redemption Online wasn't working properly, they just slapped on beta onto the side of it to say, oh, well, it's not finished being developed yet, and it's been there for 6 months, I think. And it's just like Anthem suddenly being in early access again. I mean, I don't think it would be as bad if they had just turned to players and said, look, we struggled with the development of Red Dead Redemption Online and it's not ready yet. Because for me, Red Dead and GTA Online, they're different from the actual games. You basically get them for free. As long as people can connect to the game and actually play it, as long as that's the one thing they needed to have learned from GTA Online for me. But other things are acceptable mistakes, because Red Dead Online and GTA Online, they're different things from almost anything else, and I can respect the fact that they're going to take time to get them to work properly. Mm-hmm. And I completely understand that. So if they'd just been more honest, I think people would have less of a problem with it. So companies like Take-Two and the other companies, apart from EA, Bethesda and Activision Blizzard, might not have problems at the minute, but if they're doing the things that we've mentioned, they could conceivably have problems in the future. So they have to make changes as well, especially the constant crunch time, because that's not sustainable in this industry. You know, people working 100-hour weeks is not sustainable in this industry. They have to do something about it.
I concur.
Now, the last story is from yourself, so
Yes.
I'll let you.
This week, you may or may not be aware, a certain trailer has dropped with a certain blue character, Sonic the Hedgehog, and it has come under fire from all true Sonic fans, or even some people that just watch the cartoons or
It might be comics, actually.
comics, yeah. So basically anybody that's ever basically seen Sonic, what Sonic actually looks like, has made comment on this trailer for a few reasons. One, people aren't too keen on Jim Carrey being cast as Ivor Robotnik or Dr. Eggman. So, well, that's what...
Eggman.
Eggman.
No, Eggman.
That's what I said, Eggman.
You said Eggman.
Oh, my apologies.
Actually, it's pronounced Eggman.
Eggman. That is until the end of the trailer. He kind of does look a little bit like him, but at the beginning it's not... He doesn't really look like that iconic character.
He doesn't look like an egg.
No. And also, people were commenting on the fact that they used the song Gangsta's Paradise for a trailer. For a trailer about a speeding hedgehog. And the final thing that people have been picking up on big time is the look of Sonic. And most people have said, this is the thing that enters my nightmares.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of controversy over what Will Smith looked like as the genie in Aladdin has got nothing on this.
Yeah.
All people have been talking about, why does Sonic have human teeth? It looks horrific. Like, you've watched it now. What are your thoughts on the trailer?
Oh, I didn't mind it too much, to be honest. I think they could do some work on Sonic. I don't think he looks like the iconic Sonic.
Because the thing is, like, with the iconic Sonic, he had two eyes, but the two eyes merged into one eye.
Yeah, I think what they've tried they've tried to capitalise on the Detective Pikachu movement. You know, the attraction that people have to that movie. They've tried to capitalise on that, and they've tried to make a character that's reminiscent of Pikachu in that movie.
Yeah.
The way the fur sits on him, his overall shape and size.
Yeah, because even when that trailer was released, people had a comment on the fact that Ryan Reynolds was playing the voice. People have like come around to that now. They've realised that's probably a good choice, but the actual look of Pikachu, they were talking about that for quite a while. But even like people were talking about just the texture of him, the fur and things like that. Yeah, Pikachu still looked like Pikachu.
Yeah.
You can just tell that this is supposed to be Sonic.
Yeah, it's a lot harder.
The fact that it's a head, it's got like big spikes.
The shoes,
and
it's blue and it's got the spikes, but if you look at his face, you wouldn't be able to work out that.
It genuinely looks too human. The entire form looks like it's just too human, because the idea of Sonic was like he had like basically noodle arms and legs.
Yeah.
And a massive head.
I can understand why you would want to try and fix that to make it more realistic, but this doesn't look anything like Sonic.
No. I saw a picture of somebody had taken a still of Sonic, and loads of people have been doing this, and then done a reimagining of a more realistic looking Sonic, but still looks like Sonic. And it looked like, wow, why people are doing this in their houses, and they've spent $90 million on this movie, and they couldn't even get that done. So there has, because of the backlash, the director of the movie, Jeff Fowler, has come out and said, listen guys, we've heard you guys, there will be changes made to the look of Sonic. Because we rewatched the trailer just before we recorded this, and I said, I swear the eyes look different, but I don't know if that's just me thinking too much into it, because it's only been a couple of days since they announced that, so I don't think they can work that fast. But I know that, and I deeply apologize if I mispronounce his name, Yuji Naka, who was the former head of the Sonic team, and he was also lead programmer on the original Sonic the Hedgehog series of games on the Sega Genesis, has praised fans for coming out and caring about so much how Sonic's supposed to look that they've decided to change what he looks like.
Was the original games on the Genesis, or was it the... Oh, Oh, the Genesis was called the Mega Drive over here, wasn't it?
I do not know. That's just what.
I'll look that up, but I think because I know the original Sonic game was on the Mega Drive over here.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if possibly that's what they called the Mega Drive in America and maybe Japan, Genesis.
Yeah. But I've kind of feel I do feel a bit sorry for Jeff Fowler because this is going to be his feature-length directorial debut. He's only got 2 short movies under his belt, which is Go for Broke and A Gentleman's Duel.
The one thing I worry about, and I hope they don't do it, is I hope that they don't CGI Jim Carrey to look more like Dr. Eggman, as you like to call him.
Yeah, well, you saw the trailer, you saw that
but I
end
hope
bit.
they don't do it post, after there's been some backlash. I hope they don't change that, because you just end up with this. Do you remember? I've not seen the movie, but I've seen some of the stills. From Henry Cavill as Superman, where they had to CGI out his moustache.
Yeah.
And it just looks terrible. He doesn't even look like himself anymore. I hope they don't do that.
Yeah, because originally, I think Sony Pictures Columbia Pictures were going to be releasing this movie a few years was it last year,
Right.
2018, and then Columbia Pictures put the rights into Turnaround, and that's when Paramount picked it up. But they didn't change a lot of the team. Jeff Fowler, I think, was still the director when Sony had it.
Well, I think they're the publishers of the movie, aren't they?
No, I think they got the rights to it. Paramount now have the rights to it.
Alright.
My thoughts on the actual trailer itself was I couldn't get a good gauge on what the story was. I don't understand. I think...
I don't think there will be one.
You don't think there's going to be a
No,
story?
it'd be like a sort of weird fish out of water thing, like, oh my god, what are you? And he's like, I don't know, I can just run fast. And that'll be it.
Well, from what I can tell, because I said I never played the game, so I understand that Robotnik is Sonic's main villain, like in all the games.
Yeah.
But I do know that there were also other characters. You had was it Tails? You had the pink one. You had the red one.
I think Tails was the red one.
No, Tails was the fox.
Red Sonic, right? Sorry.
The red Sonic was Knuckles.
Yep. There's a black Sonic.
He was
as well.
yeah, but Knuckles wasn't a hedgehog. He was an echidna.
Right.
I know that.
Well done.
Thank you. And yeah, there was also but I can't remember what Shadow.
Is that the black one?
I think Shadow. Yeah. I think that was his name. I think he was a hedgehog. I don't know what Amy was though.
Something about gaming that you know more of than me.
What was Amy? Amy was the pink one.
Probably.
But what was she? Was she a hedgehog as well?
I'd guess they would make the female representative the hedgehog as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it'd be interesting to
like,
see if those characters come into this, or they're waiting that for Sonic 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there'll be a second one. The movie doesn't look good enough.
No. Yeah, it just doesn't really capture my imagination.
No, I want to see it, but I don't want to see it in the cinema. I want to wait till it's on terrestrial television.
I'll wait till it's on TV to watch it.
Maybe on Netflix. I'm not going to go and see that. It just doesn't look good enough.
No, because I don't understand what the story's supposed to be. I don't understand. The government wants him, but I don't know if they want him as a power source or...
The main character is Sonic, right? Just like the main character in Detective Pikachu is Pikachu.
Yeah.
You have to get an iconic voice actor in, and that voice actor
Ben
didn't grab
Schwartz.
me.
His name's Ben Schwartz.
Didn't grab me. Not the same way.
He has been a voice actor in a lot of other things.
No, I think they should have... Who could have done Sonic? I mean, it's kind of difficult. Troy Baker. He might have been able to do it.
You'd have to get somebody who was a very good voice actor. I think I think he's all right. I think his voice acting's okay. It's just not Sonic.
It's not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
But then Sonic, like anytime he talked like I can't even do it. It's like wow, like that was his kind of thing. Wow,
tubular dude.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, get Keanu Reeves in. I just don't think it... I'll put it this way. Nolan North's a bit too deep. Kevin Conroy is even deeper. I think you're probably going with somebody like Troy Baker
You would have to probably get...
if you went voice actors, if you went actors, full-blown actors.
But the interesting thing is that probably the biggest name in this movie is Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because then after, I think it's James Marsden who's playing the cop.
Yeah, and then there's obviously the soldier that we saw.
I can never remember his name. I feel really bad because I love him in anything he's in. I love him playing a villain. He's so good. Did you ever watch him in Arrow?
I watched him in a movie. In what?
Arrow. He was the villain in Arrow for a very long time. For like
yes, I have
two series
seen,
or something like that, yeah.
Because he pops up in Defenders of the Universe or something like that?
Legends of Tomorrow.
That's the one.
With, I used to watch all those shows and I got stopped because they got boring.
But, I actually want to watch them, but I can't. You've got to watch them all at the same time and I can't find them.
What I loved about Legends of Tomorrow when they started it, Arthur Darvill was on that as like the British guy that kind of gets them all together.
Is it Rex?
It wasn't Rex. It was
Rex? Rev?
I don't think it began with an R.
Megan.
No, but the fact that you had a British guy with a time machine and a long brown trench coat taking people through time and on zany adventures.
And he has
and he was also in Doctor Who.
Yeah, he's famous from being in Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's like...
What was his character in that Doctor Who again?
It was Rory.
Yep, Rory, he was a great character.
Maybe that's where you're thinking of the R from. Rip Hunter. That was his name, Rip Hunter.
So I was right with the R.
Yes, you were.
So yeah, he's great. That blonde guy, he was in something where you thought he was the main villain and it turns out he wasn't, and you got shocked because he plays such a great main villain. He's great to hire for that purpose.
Yeah.
To make you think that.
He's a good villain actor.
He's a good actor, actually. I'd like to see him more in good stuff. I don't like it when they typecast people as the bad guy. I like to see actors given a chance to flex.
Yeah. Is that why I like the Avengers movies so much? Flexing
biceps.
Yes, I
saw a couple of scenes of Wonder Woman last night. That movie looks terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like they tried to use feminism to cover up the fact it was a terrible movie.
I just don't think it had a good storyline to it.
Yeah, like we have...
The actors were fine.
No, but I think they're going for the whole let's end war. There was a rerun to World War One called World War Two.
I just didn't... Obviously this character was written back in the day, in the 40s or something like that. I think that's when Wonder Woman was written.
This doesn't matter. She's a better character. She deserved better than that movie. See, if you want to see a Wonder Woman movie that's good, watch the animated one. It's got Nathan Fillion, I think, voicing Steve Trevor. It's a good movie. Watch that. None of this nonsense rubbish with Gal or whatever her name is. It was rubbish. I've turned into my mum. Can't even remember anybody's name. Oh, it's rubbish. None of this rubbish.
I thought she was a good actress.
Yeah, they've got great actors in that movie, like Spud from Trainspotting. Doesn't mean they use them well.
She's also got the Aunt Hilda from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That, have you watched it?
No.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you then.
The point is, it's terrible. Anyway, I watched the whole thing and...
Should we get back to Sonic?
Let's get back to Sonic.
Sonic.
That actually looks like it could be fun, but I think it'll go down like a lead balloon mostly.
I think it's going to be one of those it's so bad it's good kind of movies. It depends. Like, here's the thing. There have been movies out there with amazing trailers that have been actually terrible and vice versa.
Yes, but the point is that this is a movie about a game. They normally have to be great, otherwise they get trashed. Like, there was a movie about Doom, which was fantastic right up until they put in, or at least it was bearably good, until they put in this first-person scene to pay homage to the video games. And it was just terrible. Even the gamers didn't want to see that because we want to see a movie. If we wanted to see a game, we'd watch YouTube. We want to see a movie. It's just annoying.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll keep our eyes open for that. We'll watch it in about 4 years' time and let you know what we think.
I might go see it in the cinema. We shall see.
But,
if I'm not doing anything.
So these
We've got till November.
Is that when what?
It comes out in November.
Right, okay, so they've got plenty of time to fix it.
Yeah.
Some of the pieces we've discussed today were just sort of discussion pieces, things I wanted to talk about rather than sort of like breaking news.
Yeah, but the Sonic movie trailer was news. I couldn't have found a more complicated way of trying to say that sentence, but...
Yes, but also so was the movement of development leads from Anthem to Dragon Age at EA. But I was talking about the second piece where we discussed the hopeful change in practices from EA, Activision Blizzard and Bethesda, and if not, the death of EA and Activision Blizzard.
I know, because like changes is... if they make changes, not only will it help the people that play, but also it will help them in the long run.
Do you reckon would you recommend the EA and Activision Blizzard and Bethesda maybe look in the mirror? Maybe look in the man in the mirror? Maybe think it's time to make a change?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think they should make a change. Maybe not that change. I'm just quoting the song. Let's clarify that.
Let's not quote the song.
I'm just talking about the song. I'm not talking about the musician.
Yes.
But sadly, I think this week the time has come for us to say ta-ta.
Yes. So I will say goodbye.
And I will also say goodbye.
And if you'd like to listen to more of our lovely videos, you can. Got a year's worth of backlog.
It's not a backlog, it's a collection, woman. It's a collection.
You can subscribe to our channel, hit that little notification bell for when we inevitably upload on a Wednesday, every Wednesday. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, you can find us at overshadow.shadowcast. And if you'd like to email us, that would be at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to leave a little comment below, that'd be fantastic. Let us know what we're doing. If you have any comments on actually how we can improve this, that would be very helpful. Because we can only improve if we know what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we've got is no one's listening. And that's a big problem.
If you'd like to share this video with your friends and family, your mortal enemies who you want to post
just any human being with ears and the ability to click on stuff.
Yes, please.
That would be great.
Yes. So, yet again, bye-bye.
What?
Yet again, bye-bye.
Oh, yet again? Bye-bye. I thought you said yet again.
Yet again, bye-bye.
Yet again, bye-bye.
Yet again, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.